All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening. You guys are over in Europe, right?
Yes.
Somewhere. Yeah. So we got Max and we got Andy. Andy, good
Hello,
morning
guys.
or good afternoon. I don't even know what time it is where you are.
I'm in France, so it's afternoon.
It's afternoon. It's early. I still got my cup of coffee. You see this cup. My normal cup is not available anymore, so I grabbed this one out of the cabinet here. So I'm still on my first cup. It says I don't need Google. My mother knows everything.
Got it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So good.
Awesome.
Good to have you. Hey, Max.
Hey, yeah, I shouldn't be here, but I'm here anyway. But
Now,
yeah,
Max dreams about Quarkus and Quarkus Insights. He can't get enough, right?
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah, I'm glad
I'm
you're here.
I'm in the middle of a move, so that's why I'm not in my normal cage. So yeah.
All right. So, do we
Hey,
have any announcements or anything? I know there was JNation last week. I know they're still working on getting videos and whatnot processed, but I personally wasn't there, but I heard it was pretty cool. And
yeah. So none of us was there actually, as far as and you were also home. Yeah, I was
Yep.
moving. But as far as I know, yeah, we had JNation last week, and a lot of energy and positive vibes back, which was awesome. And there was a big stream from a like 6 hours stream, but that's gonna be split up, and I think sometimes this week we'll be able to share the individual talks, which we'll do on Quarkus IO and JNation once it's there. So, yeah.
cool. So, Andy, go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about why you're here today.
Okay. I'm Andy Damevin. I work for the Quarkus team, employed by Renard. And I'm in the dev tool team of the Quarkus team. So I work on making the developer experience good on Quarkus. And in that team, I've been making a few things. Like I'm pretty sure if you know Quarkus, you've been on code.quarkus.io at some point. So that was a while back, but I made that happen. And yeah, it's been pretty famous, so I'm pretty happy with it. And since then, I've been working on improving that, adding some the code starts, which are the little starter you get when you create application with the Quarkus tooling. The Sentry extension as well. And now I'm here to discuss my latest extension, which is Quinoa. And yeah, that's the subject of this presentation. So let's talk about that later.
So I gotta ask, where did the name come from? Because I mean, I know what quinoa is, but what's the relationship between like user interfaces?
So let me give you the story. So I went to some website where you type like the start of a sentence, and it gives you all the name you could use. And so I typed like Quarkus UI, QUI, and then I had that list of stuff, and I stumbled upon that one. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I thought, oh, that's like Quarkus UI, no hassles. Let's go for that. Then I tried to say it in English, and I understood maybe that's a wrong choice. But I will stick to
Yes.
quinoa like I do in French. And at least when you read it, it's nice. As soon as you're not saying it, I think everything's all right.
And I'm the uneducated one. I didn't know what Quinoa was, and I also don't know how to pronounce it. So,
And now you tried
yeah,
it. I saw
yeah.
that on Twitter.
No. I tried to both the Quinoa extension and I also tried eating it. And the way I see it is, it's Quinoa is these like small like node modules. There are just a ton of them, and Quarks Quinoa makes it nice to eat. Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Do you prefer the extension or sorry, that's the question.
Well, the extension worked for me. The Quinoa one was, yeah, well, it wasn't. As I said, it was like eating rice without the rice. It's weird, but that's a personal taste.
Yeah, that's personal true.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to learn more about it because I know as soon as I saw you tweet about it and whatnot, Antonio Goncalves reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, we got to use this in the superheroes. Let's find out more because the Angular stuff that we have is just kind of yeah." And so not a UI person whatsoever. I can spell JavaScript and that's about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like super gung ho to. And when we were gonna do this like last week or the week before, I couldn't attend. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to watch the recording. But now I'm like psyched to be here live and learn about it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I will explain why I decided to create that extension. So it's been asked on some Google discussion, and it's been a while people were discussing that. But since there were some workaround solution which worked pretty great using the Maven frontend plugin, I think it wasn't that much of a need, and so I decided to do some proof of concept around making it easier with Quarkus to work with NPM and project using NPM. And while doing it, I noticed that that's pretty cool in the end. It really is the experience, and for people coming to Quarkus or people already doing front-end which want a backend with Quarkus, at least you don't have to learn everything about how it works inside, to copy the file to the right place and everything. You just put the extension, have your front end, have your backend, and you can just worry about your business. And yeah, that was the idea behind.
Yeah, so let's take it away. Show us what you got here.
Yeah, let's do that.
I guess I got to push a button here to bring your screen up, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
So any technical difficulties that happened today, feel free to blame me, because this is the first time I've been at the helm here. They gave me all the keys, and I'm not sure if that was a good thing or not. So we'll see. Hopefully I don't blow it up.
Yeah, you did good already. So we're fine, and that's also my first time. So it's a lot of first time today, and we can blow things up. I think people will be nice with us. So Quinoa. Let's switch to code.quarkus.io and create our Quinoa app. So I will take REST Reactive for that demo, and I will take Quinoa, obviously. Let's give it a name, Quarkus Insights Quinoa. Okay, we're good to go. Here I can push to GitHub. So at least at the end of this demo, I can share you the link. So now that I created my app, I can clone it locally. And don't hesitate to interrupt me if there are questions on the chat and everything, because I don't see it while coding. And I really like to be interrupted, because at least I know I'm not alone in front of my computer.
We are watching. No,
I'm watching the chat, and if anything comes up, I will certainly let you know.
Okay, cool. So Quarkus Insights. No, that's not the one. Okay, there we go. So here I'm in my project directory, and what I will do first is I will open it with IntelliJ, so we can see what's in there. While it's loading, so some people were wondering if so the title Quarkus UI with no ASL is a bit like supersonic, super subatomic. It's really strong, but in the end, it's just you need to know how to make front-end app with NPM. It will not help you do that, and you need to know how to work with Quarkus, obviously. It won't make your front end for you. If you want that, I guess there are some other extension, maybe like if you are closer to backend, like Renard or Qute, or I don't know. Here you need to be like either have a front end team in your team, or know a bit about front end so that you can integrate it in your backend.
Maybe we should just position it a little bit how this compares to Renard, because we had that on the call before. Do you want to do that, or should I?
You can go for it, and I will object if I disagree.
Okay. So yeah, Quarkus itself is focusing mainly on, let's say, backend stuff, right? And then kind of at the same time, and we've had these requests multiple times from different people, like, hey, how do I do, what UI do we do? And there's kind of two camps. One is, let's call it the Renard camp, which is, hey, I want to avoid as much JavaScript as possible. Let me use Qute and backend rendering of things. And for that, we made Renard, which is just makes that easier. And then, so that's one end of the spectrum. And then the other one is the one is, hey, I just want everything in the backend being backend stuff, traditional backend stuff, and I want to do everything in JavaScript, and that's kind of where Quinoa fits in better. That, hey, I already have an NPM project, or we use Angular, or we use React. What do I do? And that's where Quinoa is. So in Quarkus, we're not taking a stance either or, and we want to kind of provide tooling that works for both cases. So Quinoa is more of, hey, I have some project that is using NPM or Yarn to build the front end. And then, of course, that front end could then be a lot of JavaScript or just a small layer, depending on how you are. So those two, Renard and Quinoa, actually, I think they should be able to work together. They kind of, depending on what your project is, they do. But right now, the simple one is Renard is like backend rendered front ends. That's how it's called.
Server side rendered.
Server side. That's the right word. Yeah. Server side rendered. And Quinoa is more for, hey, I want to do stuff in NPM modules in the front end. And yeah, so both ends, depending on what your style is. Yes.
Okay, let's switch to the code. So yeah, I put Stripe at the project, and maybe some of you are joining. So I created this project with code.quarkus.io, and it's just the base project you get. So let's now do the Quarkus dev command. So I'm opening the terminal. Oh, okay, I shouldn't do it this way. Okay, let's come from here. So I'm hitting Quarkus dev, and let's see what happened. So it's starting. So the only thing, so here you have a project in the source main web UI directory, which is a normal package.json project with webpack and some stuff. And here in the Quarkus application properties, I have one configuration saying that the dev server part is this, and that means that will help Quinoa knows how to start the dev mode. There we go. Go back here.
Is that one required, or is it just a nice? You don't have to have it, do you?
It sounds like it does the NPM server or something.
This is needed. You need that that if you want Node to be the dev server, it's mandatory. It's required. But if you can not add it, and then it will get rebuilt each time you make a change. So, I mean, if you have a really small app that get built in a short time, then it's perfect also. But if your app is a bit bigger, then I guess the Node dev server will be more efficient, as it can do incremental builds and stuff like that that you won't do with normal build.
Got it.
So is that like equivalent to like npm dev, like where it starts a dev server?
Exactly. So actually, if you look at here at the logs, what Quinoa is doing is that it's actually starting the package manager. So in the background, it's starting. If it's using Node, it will do npm start, or if it's using yarn start, and then it will check that the power is actually listening and go on, and then it will forward the request to that part. So let's see what happens if I actually hit the Quarkus. The Quarkus server. So here it is the page you get when you create a Quarkus project. And here I have a small starter code. And if I hit here, then here I'm actually using my Quinoa app. So here you can see that you can't do that with only server code, obviously. or if you can do it with server code, you tell me how you do that. Or maybe with Vadin, but then it's a different world. And yeah, my front end here, I have my backend. So I mean, on one server, I have Quarkus and my front end working, which means that now the only thing I have to do is plug them together, which is what I really like about this is you can really bring front end development and back end development together. You could do that with Node.js, obviously, but I mean, Java is so good to make backend, and if you start using Quarkus on top of that, you will see that, yeah, I guess we can really say that Node.js is not as cool as using Quarkus for the backend with a front-end app. Let's say that.
So I got a question here. So basically, you've got, when you run Quarkus dev mode, you've got, the 8080 dev mode port, but then you've also got the 3000. So you can be like working on the back end and the front end simultaneously at the same time with all the live coding stuff.
Yeah, totally. That's
cool.
exactly that. So here, if I change my my code here, so I say hi, or if I change my front end here and here, let's say that what will Quarkus say? Something here. It will actually directly change in the UI. So let's change the last phrase. The last one will take a while. So let's change the first one. Instead of talk, let's say hello and see what happens. So yeah, you can see that it directly updated in my UI, in my browser. So here is the front end updated, and here the backend also say hi. So I can work on both at the same time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So and I think the important part is, and this is why it took me a while. First time we talked about this, like none of this can't be done already today. It just requires different setup depending on what platform you have, etc. And none of them were as nicely integrated with the dev mode in Quarkus, right? The Quinoa, you don't have to set up a Maven front-end plugin, or you don't have to set up the right settings in your whatever framework you use on the front end. It just kind of works with Quinoa. So it's like anything else we do in Quarkus is we're taking existing technology that is proven to work very well, and we just make it so it works out of the box, and you don't have to think. You can just be focus on being fast.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
So I can continue. So now that we put the glue between Quarkus and our NPM project, let's plug them together. I think that's the logical following for that demo. So I prepared for you a little front-end app that I will just copy. So here, let's copy that. Copy.
Indy, there's a question here about what about the scripts in the package.json? Like, is there any magic that you got to do there?
Okay, so Quarkus is Quinoa is actually using the scripts that are there. It's delegating the call to them. So like start is for the dev mode and build is for building. Then you can also have the tests that are run alongside Quarkus test. If you want to have more info about that, I suggest you to go to the Quinoa documentation. It explains how it actually works. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and just be clear. So, well, at least what I'm not a JavaScript expert for by far, but as far as I've tried, Quinoa just uses the defaults that are there. But of course, if you change them or have your own custom ones, yes, you'll have to do alignment. It corresponds to like you changing the lifecycle names or task name in your Gradle stuff. Like they have to be compatible.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So there is a discussion in an issue, an ongoing discussion about this, whether we should make it possible from Quarkus to indicate which command to call in Node, but it's not done yet. For now, it's I use the React standard, and I think not only React is doing that. So start is for dev mode, and build is for building.
Yeah.
And then if you have a project different from that, you really have to align that with that standard if you want to make it work with Quinoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and I think that's what Devon says, and that's yeah.
Yeah.
If you're missing that feature to align, then yeah, we should have that.
Yep. Yeah. Something else that people were asking is whether you can, for example, if you are on different team and your web UI is actually managed by another team on another GitHub repository, that's totally fine. As soon as locally and when you're actually building in your CI, you fetch both projects and the directory is good in the Quarkus configuration, then it will work. Okay, let's start that. So here I'm using Vite, which is like Webpack, but there is a bit less configuration to make it work. And it's a React project behind. So here now, if I go and hit that page, so there I have my little React to-do app. So I can add tomatoes, eggs, and I have my to-do app. So here for now, it's just a front end. So if I hit refresh, then I lose my data, obviously. So let's now actually do the backend part and plug it together, which you will see is pretty fast with Quarkus. So I just have to add a few extensions. I will explain which extension quickly. So sorry for the change of color. I will switch back to the other tab, but I'm just adding Hibernate reactive REST data panache and the reactive Postgre client. So the REST data panache is actually helping me to create CRUD resources with Hibernate panache, so that I just have to create my entity and then I will have my REST API already built for me in like a few seconds. Let's do that. So first I add the extension. So here, as soon as I add the extension, Quarkus is reacting and is actually starting dev service. So I get my DB and doing some other stuff so that if I go here, I can add my entity. So let's first add our, let's rename the greeting resource into to-do resource because we want to create a to-do app. I will also rename the test name. Okay. To-do resource here. This to-do resource will extend. So it's to use, I will not extend on that, but I need an interface because the code will be generated from it. So let's extend panel. So it's entity, panache entity resource here. And here I need an entity, which will be to-do entity and long, because the key is a long. Here, it's not a pass, it's entity property. No. Pass property, I think maybe. I never remember that one. Property, something, resource properties. Okay, there we go. Here I want to call it to do. And I don't need this anymore. Let's create our to-do entity. It will be quite fast. So I will use panache. So it's an entity. I extend panache entity. If you want more about all that panache stuff, then there are plenty of guides and demo about it. You can really find nice things about this. So here for my to-do entity, the only thing I need is some text. the text of the to-do list. And yeah, for your information, in the Panache entity, I already have the ID. Okay, I think everything is good here. I will just add a few configuration that I prepared here. So this is for Quarkus to know that all the REST paths will start from /API. I want this is a PostgreSQL DB, and for the DB, I want to drop it and create it at JNation. So now, if we go back here, so you can notice that I haven't restarted the dev server. And here, if I go in API/to-do, let's see what happens. Oh, there we go. I actually have a list of nothing, which is cool because I don't have any to do in my backend yet. And what's pretty cool is that now, just by doing that, I have a DB started, and I have all the CRUD method ready to be consumed by my frontend app. So the next step, I guess, is just to use that. So I'm going to my frontend app. So here, I cheated a bit because I already have to-do API class ready for me. So here you can see that I'm using Axios. You can use fetch also in JavaScript. So I have the list method, which is asynchronous, and it calls the to-do endpoint and say, okay, I want to sort by ID and decrement. I can create one and delete one. So it's pretty simple, and you can see that without doing anything, I can already sort my fields, which is pretty cool.
Question, Andy. So I may show the fact that I don't know a whole lot about front-end development here. So does it matter when you're using Quinoa what SPA or single page framework you're using? You know, Angular, React, Vue, yada yada yada.
That's a very good question. I was actually supposed to say that in the preparation I made. Yeah, sorry, I'm using React for that demo, but you can use Angular, Vue, whatever Node framework you want. I've tested with most of them already. Most of them are working. If you see a framework that is not working, please open an issue because we want to be as much compatible as possible with all Node stuff you could want to do. Yeah, so here it's just React because I'm pretty familiar with React, but I could have used Angular or Vue or Svelte or yeah, anything. Okay, is that answering your question?
Yep, that was it.
Yep, cool. So here for the to-do API, I'm using Axios, and it's actually part of the package.json. So here it's a really normal single page web application. I mean, if you're familiar with that, you will see that I didn't do anything special in this application. And I will share the code. So if you want to go visit it, you can. So here I have my my component. Let's switch to it. So this is my to-do component that you can see here. So this is the to-do component. And here, when it actually loads, I want to use my new to-do API. So I will call the list, and I will call then. And as soon as I get my data, I will update the state to show what's in the backend. So here, this is a callback. And here I'm actually getting some data. And here I need to put the actual data. So sorry, it's not D, it's more R because it's a response. My bad. So let's refresh here. So this will actually call the backend now. So if we look at the log, so it's loading actual. Oh, here you can see that it's actually calling the to-do method. Why is it calling it 2 times? I'm not sure.
To be sure.
Yeah. So something is wrong because it's calling it 2 times, but let's not figure that out today. Normally it should call it just once. I did something wrong somewhere, but I will investigate. And if you can find why, please, you're welcome.
The power of open source. Do a pull request, right?
Yeah, exactly. So here I will add the to-do because this is where it gets interesting, because just showing an empty DB is not cool. You need to actually add some data in there. I could use Quarkus and set up the dev service to add some data at the beginning, but here we just add it from the front end. So here I need to call again the to-do API. I want to create some text, create a to-do with that text, and then update the state with the result. So let's copy this, put it here. So here I will get as a result in the data, I will get the newly created to-do. Oh, see, this is when you switch from Java to JavaScript. So here I need to use the data. So the text will be the same, but we can use it, but the ID, I don't know it. So I can extract the ID from the result, and it will be here. Is that right? Yeah, that should work.
Are you asking, maybe, or are you thinking?
I'm thinking. I think I need to do that. Sorry. Data.id, yeah. Okay, that will work. So now we can add and we can remove. No, sorry, we can add and we can load. Let's see if it works. So here, let's say tomatoes, add it, refresh. Yes, it's persisted. So just by that, we already have like a full stack web app. And if I click here, I refresh. Oh, it's still here because of course I didn't implement the remove. Let's do it now. Delete, ID, then up. Is that it? Yeah, here, since it's a remove, I can use the ID that I have up there, and that should work. Let's refresh. Yeah, my tomatoes, I remove it, I refresh, and my tomatoes are deleted. So now we have a persisted state with a front-end app, and that's the next part. So now I've been using dev mode. So I will just, yeah, sorry. Do you have a question?
Yeah, there's a question here. So like, what about the code gen workflows, like TypeScript front ends using different kinds of tooling and whatnot?
So as soon as, so the idea is that as soon as you have a Node app and a build system using Node for that app, and that the build is actually generating some static files, then Quarkus Quinoa will be compatible with it. So you could use TypeScript, you could use SCSS, you could use whatever. As soon as when you build, in the end, you get it, everything is processed, compiled to index and JavaScript files, then we're fine. So let's actually see what Quarkus does if we're not in dev mode. So the dev mode is a bit special as it's actually starting two services.
So Andy, just before you go into detail how it works, just for the Open API question. So basically, Quinoa doesn't care, but if your build system uses Open API tool to generate TypeScript that does this, so because that was like when you wrote the code here, I was like, this should be generated because you already have this stuff. So you can actually already today set up, if you have a NPM package or stuff that generates based on the Open API, you should be able to do that already today.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You mean generate the API part, right? This one.
The stuff you do there, right? So you could do that.
Yeah.
And we also working. So you won't have this today, but a hot topic we have on Quarkus team is also to have in Quarkus a better client-side, server-side generation, not front-end, but open API integration. So, well, my point is, today, if your NPM project does have support for open API, you could have pointed to the Swagger UI in Quarkus to generate from if you wanted to.
Yeah, totally.
Someone mentioned maybe the 2 requests is maybe the first one was a CORS preflight.
That could be.
Oh yeah, that's possible. Actually, no, because you're on the same server, so you shouldn't. You're not actually doing CORS, but yeah, that's a possibility. But I think it was to get here. Let's see. Oh, I stopped the server.
What?
We will see when I will actually build it. Let's continue the demo and we will check that again. So let's see if I remove in the properties here, I can actually remove the dev server part and let's see what happened, because this is a special mode where we actually start to process the node dev server plus the Quarkus dev server. Let's just use Quarkus to see what happened. So if I hit Quarkus dev now, so here in the log, you can see that it's calling Vite, it's calling yarn build, then Vite build. Sorry, it's pretty big for the demo, but if you had normal logs, you would see everything. You would see everything on one line. But here you can see that Quinoa actually generated some file. Let's go back. It called Vite to generate the file, which creates some assets and some index. Then it takes the result of that build, put it in the target directory of Java. So here, and you can here see in the logs the list of files that have been generated. So the index, so yeah, logo, some JavaScript, some stuff. And if we actually go into that file here, you can actually see what have been generated, like you would see in the web UI/build here. So here I can see the file that have been generated and that Quarkus will use and render. And if I go again on my local host, on my demo, you can see that it works the exact same way. So here, if I refresh, I just have Quarkus started. I don't have any front-end dev server, but it works the exact same. So you can switch from one to the other as much as you want. And same here, if I go here and change my front-end, and here I refresh, it will take a bit longer because it called the npm, the yarn build behind, but it's, I mean, if it's fast enough for some people, then it's all right. Hola, Quarkus Insights. So you could actually use that for dev mod. And this is a normal React app. So this is the time you will get for that app. And this mod is more, I can't find my English word, is closer to what you will actually get in production. So let's do a Quarkus build. And it works in native also. So let's actually do a Quarkus build in native. And then we can talk because it will take a while. So Quarkus build, no, I don't remember the command. I think that's the one. Yeah. So build, I want to clean, I want native, and I want it to be built in a container. And I want to skip the test because, yeah, if I build in the container, then the test will not be, it will not work. So let's do that. Now we can discuss things.
So what about like continuous testing? And again, I'm not a JavaScript ecosystem person. So, but is there any thought or has anything been done with like the whole continuous testing piece of dev services, being able to test your UI alongside your application?
Yep. So it's working with continuous testing. That's actually here in my my demo. I don't know where we there are, but I could present a bit of testing. In the Quinoa, let's make it bigger, library, I also have a testing dependency that you can add, and it's making testing easier for the web UI. So you could either decide to use your npm test or use Quarkus to test your UI full stack. And then you can have the dev service and everything for your test. And it's built on top of Playwright from Microsoft. And yeah, it's pretty cool because in a few annotation, you test your app full stack with the server on and everything. And then you can also have continuous testing because it works with Quarkus continuous testing. So we can actually activate that later if we have time to see how it works.
That's cool.
Yeah, something that may, this was a decision we took, but if you actually run your test, your normal test, Quinoa will not be triggered. It will not build your Quinoa app because building npm app can take like 10 seconds and you don't want to take 10 seconds for all your tests. So Quinoa is disabled by default when running tests. If you want to activate Quinoa on particular tests, then you have a small annotation to add that I have here. So here I'm just saying, okay, enable Quinoa for that test, and then it will build your Quinoa app and it will be available at runtime. Okay, it's still building because I decided to make it native, so it will take a little bit. In the meantime, what can I show you? Are there some other questions?
I'm looking in the chat here. I don't really see any other questions at the moment.
Okay, so something I could say is, yeah, something important. You might ask yourself the question, when you actually doing front-end, something that there are two things that you will want to do pretty much for sure if you're running in production. The first one is setting headers for cache, because if you go, for example, in the React Create app documentation, they will give you that configuration to say, okay, I don't want the index to be cached, but I want my static resources to be cached. Then you just have to use Quarkus HTTP configuration and you're done. So let's put it here. And as soon as I add this here, all my static resources will be served with no cache for the header. No cache for everything that is on slash, and max age this if it's on static slash something.
Dev mode does that already, right? This is just for product ones, right?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Well, I thought, Quarkus dev mode, we don't have caching. Right?
Oh, in dev mode, you don't have, yeah, for sure. This is for production, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay, good.
Yeah. So the second thing you may want to do if you're doing a single page application, it will be to have routing in your web application. And if you have routing in your web application, then you will want to have, there are different names for this, but I called it single page application routing. Some call it history, API, fallback, or there are different names. But what it means in the end is that you want requests to go to the index, relevant requests to go to the index so that the index actually serve your app. And for example, here, if I have my application, I have something on slash and something on to do, then you will want someone hitting to do to actually serve the index as well. So we can also try that in that demo if you want. It would be nice if in the comments you can say if you prefer having the test or single page app routing.
So those of you that are watching, if there's one that you'd prefer to see over the other, the testing versus the routing, just drop a note in the chat and we'll upvote them.
Yeah. So not to myself, never do native in a demo in the future, at least when it's live stream, because it takes way more time than when you're not demoing.
Either that or you just need to get Max to get you a better laptop.
Ah, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, your laptop is better than mine right now, so don't.
I can do a native build in like under a minute now with my new machine.
Well, try do it while you're streaming. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. When you're streaming, everything is, yeah, but it doesn't take like 1 minute on my computer, even when I'm not streaming. Yeah.
So Orling's talked about
I think we're
testing.
getting there. We're getting there.
Oh, you have to run the Docker build first.
Yeah, we won. So something important. If I start my app now, let's actually do. Oh no, I will need to start it in Docker, because I made a container build. If I start my app now, I will not have the Postgres server on, because this was using a dev service, and it won't be started if I just start my app. So I prepared a little Docker compose so that we have everything for us. So first I need to build my my app. So let's call it Quinoa to do. That's okay. Let's go. That should be quick. Okay, so now I have my Docker image build. Let's start it, and we will see that. Sorry, Docker run. Yeah. So here I don't have any DB. So if I hit that, it should, yeah. And here I should have exception. Okay. So here it means that my DB is not started. Let's now copy the Docker compose.
Always typing, Max. I actually had a thought of building a Docker Compose extension for Quarkus to generate Docker Compose files for, like, if you're using Postgres or whatever other extensions you've got, because we use it in the superhero sample app, and I kind of built my own little thing to generate that.
I mean, you mean like based on what dev service will do?
Oh, I need to.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why it didn't work. Let's do that again.
So just, I can see people are saying there's a bad echo, but we are not sending echoes from here, so that's a bit weird.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Andy's machine is still catching up and catching its breath here.
Could be, but
so yeah,
ours is,
okay.
Yeah.
Here we can. Sorry if there is. I don't think I have echo on my side.
No, we hear clear and sound, and we can see there's like these measurements says who is sending sound, and when we're not speaking, there's nothing sent, so it's a bit weird. What's being picked up?
So I'm telling you what you should put in your next Quinoa recipe, and the most important is the soy sauce. Sorry, let's say soy sauce, because if I just add soy sauce, there we go. And if I refresh, it's actually on the DB, because in the Docker Compose, I actually started the DB. So what we've done, let's summarize. So we have a Quinoa, we have a front end using Node. Here it's a React app. We have a backend using Quarkus. With let's go back there. Let's see what quantity of code I have. I have like this and this. I add Quinoa, and I have a full stack web app with a backend and storage, everything together working in like less than 1 hour. I think that's pretty cool. And it's native.
That is definitely nice. There we go. Yeah.
How about the testing? Do we want to see a little bit of testing?
Yeah, let's go. So this is what people were asking.
I think we had
Yeah.
someone chimed
Okay,
in.
cool. So can you switch back to my screen?
Yeah, you're on. You're live.
Okay. So I'm killing the Docker Compose. I'm going in the test, in the Quarkus test. So no, let's keep that IT. I mean, it's not a problem. Let's just remove. That. Rename that test to do resource. So here, yeah, let's remove that one. We're not using today. So here in the to-do resource test, I will say that if I hit API/to-do, I should get an empty array. So obviously there are better way to do that, but let's just make sure it works. And let's create another task for our web UI. So to do web UI test, add. Okay, for now I will keep it empty. And here I want to add the fact that I need to add the extension for the testing. So that's the extension. I will share all the link. Do you have a way to share in the comments maybe after the demo?
Yeah, just copy it in the private chat. We can share it out.
Okay, I will do it at the end. So here I go in the dependencies. I add this. I refresh Maven. I go back here, and here I should be able to activate the fact that it will run the UI. It will build the UI while testing. Okay. Here I will start the dev mode, so we can do continuous testing. I haven't tested live for that demo the continuous testing, so let's hope everything is working. But last time I checked, everything was fine. So it's starting the DB, and here I want to, as soon as it starts, resume the testing. So okay. Okay, so something is failing. I hate when it's that big. Okay, I received 4, not found for the resource here. That's weird.
Do what we all do when tests fail. You disable them, right? So that you can move on.
Yeah, that's pretty weird still. 1 second. I have 5
hitting,
minutes, right?
Is it hitting the right endpoint? It's not hitting the wrong.
So in my properties, it says that I hit on /API. Here I have /API/to-do. And here it says go on /API/to-do. I should have 200. Yeah, that should be fine. And let's see what happens if I actually go from here. It works. Okay, let's disable this test. As you can see with Quinoa, the web UI testers are working. And here I will activate Playwright. So Playwright is a bit like Selenium, and but like from my own experience, it's a bit more integrated and easy to use. But if some people are asking, we could also integrate it with other systems. So let's copy this, and let's copy this. So it's using a Quarkus test resource. Yeah, go on.
The Playwright manager is in Quinoa, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's in the testing dependency.
Got it.
So it will actually start Playwright and do everything for you, like alongside the Quarkus test lifecycle, so that you can actually it will then test in Chrome. Because as you know, if you want to test front-end stuff, I mean single-page web app stuff, you will need to render them. Just getting the index is not enough. Here, I should have copied the dependencies, so sorry, it's taking a bit of time. Okay, so everything is compiling. So what am I doing here? So here it's saying, okay, I will use the Playwright Manager to get some context, some Playwright context. And thanks to that context, I can open a new page. On that new page, I want to navigate to /, check that it's okay. Then I will wait for JavaScript to load, go to the title, see if it's Quinoa demo. Then I will get the H1 tag and see if it contains Hola Quinoa. So the next step will be to say, okay, then I want to type some text, click on the add button, check that if I click on the add button, I have some new content added. If I remove it, then it's deleted. So test all those things, but from the UI, and then you have end-to-end testing directly out of your Quarkus app. And let's see if it works.
So while that's loading, there's a question here, and this is actually an interesting question that I wanted to ask too. Is if you've got something existing, like they're using React as an example, but say you have a UI written in whatever that already exists, are there any points that you need to think about if you want to kind of import it into into Quinoa and use it?
So can you, sorry, I was a bit in between. I just missed the few first line. So what is the exact question?
Yeah, so if you have an existing UI in React, Angular, whatever it is, and you want to start to use Quinoa, is there any like practices or gotchas or anything for starting to use it, or do you just grab it and throw it in there and you're good?
So since it's pretty new, I will really suggest you to watch the issues, to watch the new releases, because if we have some bug, we will try to fix it as soon as possible. Beside that, like it should work out of the box. The only gotcha is to make sure your scripts are fitting the Quinoa recommendation, not recommendation, but rules, to make sure that everything is calling the right thing.
But Andy, also, if you have an existing product and it's living outside the Quarkus project, does Quinoa work with that? Like right now, you assume it's in Web UI inside Quarkus. Does Quinoa work with products that are outside your project?
Yeah, totally. So if you want, so let's go on the Quinoa documentation. So yeah, I really strongly advise you to visit that page. Let's share it here. How do I post on that chat?
Just throw it
I will post it in
the internal one, and we'll throw it out there.
Okay, so there you go. And yeah, if you explain how Quinoa is working, and then if you you have some explanation on how to use it with React, and here you have all the configuration stuff, and this is where you can it tell you. So sorry, I just maybe I'm getting a bit tired after 1 hour. Your question, Max?
It was how do I, if I don't want to use the Web UI inside, but I want to point to a product outside?
Totally. So I was going on in the right direction. So this is here. So here you can set the UI directory, and you can put a relative path. So for example, if I go here, so I'm not sure why my tests are not passing, but this is just the demo effect, because I've been actually testing that and it was working before.
My guess is if you run Playwright, it has some default timeouts that is, so it's probably got skewed because you're running and streaming, so it probably runs out.
Oh,
Qute tunnels.
Let's run in IntelliJ because when I tested, I didn't test it with DevMod, but with continuous testing, but in IntelliJ. So here you can see that in my test, it's actually building the code. And okay, here we can see, let's see why it's not working. Okay, it's because we actually changed the, so yeah, this is a valid error. So instead of saying hello Quinoa, it's now saying hola Quinoa inside. So yeah, everything's working fine. And for your question here, if I go in application properties and I'm actually saying quarkus.quinoa.ui dir, then I could take it from another directory. So I don't have any web UI directory, but it could be just, this is relative to the root of the project. So if under my project I have for a web app with Vue that is handled by another team, then it will work the same way. Just make sure that in your package.json, you have the start and the build.
Okay. And right now you can't configure those commands. Which ones are the one you want to run there?
Yeah. You
Okay.
can't. You can change the content of what those commands are doing in Node, but you can't say, okay, I want Quarkus to call another command. You
Okay.
can change which package manager you want to use, though. npm, yarn, pnpm, but you can change that command.
Okay. Cool. But that sounds like a future improvement one. Having the
yeah, I created an issue for this if you want to continue on this discussion, because someone also asked to use Quinoa with not with Node but some other Google framework. I can't remember the name. So yeah, that's something we could do in the future. So what's the name of the framework? I can't remember it. So Quinoa. So yeah, the Quinoa repository is on the Quarkiverse. I'm trying to go fast. Sorry, Quinoa. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So if you're looking for where to put the issue for Quinoa relating, it's on the Quinoa repository, not on the Quarkus one. And here you have some issues. And someone, Flutter. I don't know if you heard about that. It's a Google framework. And someone asked to make Quinoa compatible with Flutter.
All right, I think that's about all we got time for today. So unless there's any other questions in the chat, I don't see anything there. I'll throw out that link you just did, and thanks for being here, Andy. Thanks for showing this. I definitely learned a ton, and like I said, I'm not a front end JavaScript guy, so this was really cool stuff. So thanks everybody, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.